Okay, so we're going to start here with some basics. One of the things you need to know is most everything that we have available today will be available on our website. If you go to research.usu.edu, this has a lot of information that will help you throughout any of the processes that we go through today. This is where you can find the sponsored programs website, the animal care use, the IACUC website, the IRB website, and then also the Kuali website. So if we go to the Kuali website, there's lots of information here that is available that will guide you through some of the things that we're going to do, some of the modules. And this is where I suggest that you always look for upcoming trainings, specific trainings that will be offering any news or outages that might be happening if they're planned. I try to put up information here as needed. Also note that over the next several weeks, we'll be transitioning away from this platform to a new platform for our website. So it might look slightly different, but all of the information will be there, and we'll be adding a lot of information in the coming months, video tutorials, more detailed quick guides, a lot more FAQs, that type of thing. Hopefully a much better, more robust websites going to be coming in the future. From here, we can launch Kuali, and this allows you to use your dual authentication. If you're already signed in, obviously it'll come right into Kuali. And here are the different modules that we have available on campus. So we have research. This is where we manage proposals, awards, and anything that happens in sponsored programs. This is where you're going to fill out your conflict of interest and any protocols for IRB or IACUC. And today I'm actually going to be in a test server so that we can make a lot of changes and not mess with our production data. If we click on the research, this is where we're going to start. This is where you're going to, this is where you're going to fill out any proposals, any grant submissions that you'll be doing in the system. When you log in, you'll be presented with this dashboard that has these 3 different cards on it, which are all configurable and show information that is directly related to you. In the proposals routing to me, this will show any proposals that are in routing that you have to take action on. So any proposal that you will have to approve at some point in the future. As a PI, you might not ever see this, but as a department head or a business manager or a dean, then this will show all of the proposals that are out for routing and where they are in the routing queue. So you can see that it'll say you're up if you need to take action now, or it'll say it is so many steps away, depending on how many other people in front of you need to approve that before it gets to you for approval. Over here, we have proposals not routing. So this will show you any proposals that you have access to that are still in the preparation state, that have not been completed and put into routing yet. Whether you have access to them or not, and who in sponsored programs is assigned to review that proposal, and then who is currently reviewing that proposal, what stop it's at. And this will help you if you put a proposal in routing so that you can see how fast it's going through the approval process, if there's anybody holding it up, if somebody has questions, who to contact, those types of things. At the top, you can customize directly for you. If you don't want to see one of those cards, you can turn it on and off. And yeah, and that remembers for each individual user. Our navigation is on the left-hand side, and this navigation menu can be expanded or collapsed to give you more screen real estate. Kuali has recently added a new search feature, which searches the entirety of the database. So you can put in just a number for, say, a proposal number, or a word that might show up in the proposal or in an award. You can see that Santa Fe shows up with the word Santa. So it's not just searching titles, it's not just searching people's names, it's searching everywhere within the database. And if you click this little drop down here, you can see that you can specify where you want it to search. So if we just wanted to search just Santa in the title, we could see that Santa is in each of these titles somewhere. Under the common, oh, and then one other thing on the here we have these show height columns back on the search records. If we click this, you can see all of the different columns that are available for you to display if you wanted, and they are drag and droppable, so you can put them in whatever order you want. I do suggest that you keep document type at the very top. A document type, because there are several different document types in the system, and this becomes the link to that document. And so there always will be a document type where if you were searching for, say, awards, there's not necessarily an award that goes with every proposal, because not every proposal is awarded. So you want to put something here that's always going to be there and that is distinct to that type of document. We go down to common tasks. This is where you can see the different modules and the different things that we can do within the system. Today we'll be working mostly with proposals, but this is also where you could search for your awards, any sub-awards that you might be linked into or have access to, and then the two different types of proposals. Now I want to start there. In Kuali, we have what's called developmental proposals. These are proposals that are being worked on, that are in review and going through that process of being submitted. Once they are submitted, a copy of that proposal is made, and that becomes the institutional proposal. Now, an institutional proposal is what we actually do all of our reporting off of. And this proposal has been submitted to the sponsor. That tells us that we've done the work, it's been reviewed, and it has been submitted. But again, most of what you're going to be dealing with will always be developmental proposals. You can search directly in just just proposals. Again, if you know the proposal number, maybe the person, the unit, all of those things, and it will return results based on what access you have. So you will only see the proposal detail of proposals that you have access to. Now, the other thing here is this is where we're going to create a proposal. So when you log in and you want to create a new proposal, you're going to come to Common Tasks, which is the third menu item down. Go to Proposal Development, Create Proposal. Once we click on this, we're given these three, or this screen with just these few fields to fill out. And all of these fields can be edited after the fact, except for this one, the lead unit. Most of you as PIs, when you log in, you will only see one department listed here. That is your home department. Business managers or business services personnel within the college will have access to all of the different departments within that college. And other people have different access levels. With my access, I have access to every department on campus, so I can start a proposal for any department. But the one thing you need to know is if you're preparing a proposal for somebody else, this should be the home department of the PI. So whatever the PI's home department is, this is where you need to pick that. It's used for reporting and also for routing information. So if I'm going to be the PI on this proposal, I would put in my home department. Fill out this information. When the project's going to start and stop. You can just type it if you put in your project title, and then sponsor. This is something that we get asked quite a bit. You can just start typing a sponsor, the name of the sponsor in here, and we have thousands of sponsors in the system. However, if you start and you're doing searching, you can't find it, we have a sponsor called Add New Sponsor. And if you just click on that, this will allow you to create your proposal and then come back at a later date after you've sent me or Kelly or someone else in sponsored programs the name of the sponsor and the address information for that sponsor. We can get that set up, and then you can go back in after the fact and change it to the correct sponsor. We hit save and continue, and you can see now that we have a proposal in the system. You can see up in the left-hand corner, this is the proposal number that's been assigned. And all of that information that we put in is there. And now you'll see all of the different sections of a proposal that need to be filled out prior to submitting this into routing. Now, if I go back to the dashboard, we can see we now have that new proposal that I just started. It's in my proposals, not routing, so I can go back to it at any time. I can search for it. If I click on this here, it'll bring it right back in, and I can continue editing it. And that's how we start a proposal. Now, I quickly put together a proposal earlier today, and we're going to walk through this really fast so that we can get to the other modules also. But there's a few things that I wanted to bring up that we have questions about from time to time. You can see that I'm going to be doing some research on Santa Claus, and I'm doing it with the University of Montana. They're the ones that I'm going to be submitting this proposal to. They're the ones that are going to be providing the funding to us. However, the University of Montana is going to be working with a federal agency that's actually going to be providing them the money. And we're going to say that NASA is the prime sponsor. The prime sponsor is who's funding them, and then they are going to fund us. So in this case, we are a sub of the University of Montana who's getting the money from NASA. At the bottom, you can always click Save and Continue, and you will see that it moves you down the left-hand side. Every time you hit Save and Continue, it'll move you to the next section that you need to fill out. Delivery information talks about where we're going to be submitting this proposal to and how we're going to submit it. And then you can also just navigate to these different sections. And if you notice that when I clicked over here in the middle, it was doing the little loading circle. That's telling you that it's actually doing a save. So every time that you see that in the middle of the screen, you will know that a save actually happened and it saved before it moved to the next screen. Sponsored program information. This is where we put in when this proposal has to be submitted by. So this one has to be submitted by Christmas Eve, and it has to be submitted by 3 p.m. because this needs to be done by 5 o'clock Eastern time. And so we want the time that it needs to be done in Utah time so that sponsor programs knows when this has to be submitted by, right down to the minute. Any other information here that you can, please fill out. If you know the science code, please, the NSF science code, please fill that out. A lot of this information would be left blank because we don't have that information or it doesn't apply. Notice that I've checked sub-awards. So this would be checked if we're going to be then awarding a sub-award to somebody else that we are going to manage. And you'll see in this next screen, this is where we add that sub-awardee. So this shows us as the applicant and then the other organizations. So we're going to give Ford Motor Company some money to help us do this research. And if we save and continue, again, it just moves us straight down to this next section. So key personnel, this is where we add all of the key personnel that are going to be listed on the proposal. Now, if it's an employee that we're searching for, I suggest that you start with just their last name and find them and add them. And then pick what role they're going to be assuming on the proposal. Now you can see that I've already added myself, gone through. One of the things that's here is key person certification. So if I'm filling this out and I'm the PI, I come in here, I can answer these questions. However, Kelly needs to certify also as a co-investigator. And even though yes, technically I can answer for her. I don't want to. I want her to be the one that makes this certification. So if I click notify Kelly, it'll send her an email saying, hey, you need to go and fill out your certification. She clicks the link within there, comes in, and can fill out the certification for her on this proposal. The other thing that comes up quite often is, let's actually go to Kelly's. Under unit details, this will show the home unit of the person that you just added. So we get all of this information about the person from Banner, and their home unit will come across. However, maybe sponsor programs which is her home unit, is not the only unit that she's going to be working for or going to be managing this award for her. So if you click on the look, add multiple units over here, we can add a DP code or a department code here, or you can look it up by the name, the department name, and we can add that extra unit. And what this does is it will add all of these additional units into the routing so that the department heads, business managers, and the dean of whatever department you're putting in there then has to approve the proposal before it can be submitted. If we move to credit allocation, this is the percent of responsibility that each person that is listed up in the personnel section has on this proposal. If it was just me, it would be me and 100%. But now that Kelly's going to be on here, we're going to split responsibility 50-50. And she's going to have the Ag Experiment Station actually manage 100% of her time on this proposal or on this project. We save and continue and move down. And now we're in compliance. This is where you're going to add any regulatory compliance that you may have. So if you're working with the IBC, IRB, IACUC, you'll list them here. Even if you haven't applied or gotten a protocol approved yet, if you're going to, please list it here. This allows us to reach out to them to say, hey, you can be expecting a protocol from this person. We have a project in the works. It helps us just meet those compliance regulations. So if you're going to add one, say we're going to have human participants, but I haven't got IRB approval for this yet. I haven't even applied. We add this entry. It lets us know, who to contact and lets them know that to be expecting a protocol in the future. Now, under attachments, this is where the bulk of your proposal is going to sit. So this is where your narrative, your budget justification, all of those documents that we're going to be submitting to the sponsor will be. And you see that there's these different tabs. So anything that we're going to submit to the sponsor that the sponsor needs to see goes underneath the proposal tab. Personnel tab will also be something that we submit to the sponsor, but this is where you'd put your current and pending or your bio sketches. Abstracts, we don't use this tab very often, but this is where you don't actually upload something, but you can add directly and type in an abstract if you wanted. And then under internal. Internal is where all the internal documents that we need to route with this proposal that have to be approved prior to submission. That includes your F&A allocation form, any waiver if you're waiving F&A. You can see that we have the subaward documents. So all of these are internal to us. We're not going to pass them along to the sponsor, but we have to have these documents for the subaward so that we can approve it before we submit this on. And then the RFP. So whatever the sponsor has given us, whatever instructions, if this is listed here, this allows us to do a better thorough review, making sure that we're meeting all of the sponsor requirements. And it'll bring up just a basic box where you can add something. So if we and then you can select what type of document it is and whether it is complete or incomplete. Now, prior to submission into routing, we would like everything complete as much as possible. Now we know that especially the narrative is something that might be still worked on while the proposal itself is being routed. And it's one of the few documents that we allow to be in an incomplete form prior to submitting into routing. So if you're still working on your narrative, put it in, make sure it's marked incomplete. And then in the notes section, add a note for sponsored programs to make sure that they don't submit what you have in there and that they would be expecting a emailed copy of the final draft to them prior to submission. Now, they should be looking at this note so that they can see exactly what you can add any notes here you want, not just about incomplete documents. So if there's any other information about the proposal that you want reviewers to make note of, please put that information here. Then once this is in routing and you have a completed narrative, you would send it to your sponsored programs contact, and during the review process prior to submission, they can swap out that document for the completed document. Questionnaire is just a series of questions that we ask on all proposals. And again, your answers here will not hold up the proposal, but will allow us to contact the correct people that might have need of knowing some of this extra information. We may have to have certain plans put in place prior to getting an award, but it won't hold up your proposal in any way. And this is where we create the budget, which is the bulk of time that's probably spent on putting in a proposal. Today, we're not going to go over how to do a budget, but no, you can see that I've already created one, but if you can create as many budgets as you want and then pick the one that the final one that you need to add a budget, you click add budget, and then it will take you into a whole new document where yeah, it's very detailed, goes through creating a budget. We will be doing some detailed budget trainings in the future, and we'll have some short, quick videos out, hopefully in January and February, that will show and walk you through the steps of creating a detailed budget. access, this is where you can give other people access to the proposal. But do know that by default, anybody that's listed as a PI or a co-PI on the proposal automatically has access. And then anybody in sponsored programs has access to this proposal, so they can help you. Business services within the college would have access to your proposal, so they can help. And proposal development specialists that are assigned to you in your college would also have access and don't need to be added explicitly here for you. Now, if you wanted to add somebody and give them certain access, you are able to do that here by adding the user and giving them the appropriate role, aggregator to give them full access to the proposal, or editor or viewer, depending on what type of role that you want to give them. Supplemental information is just, again, more institutional information that we need to collect. Currently, we're collecting information about COVID. Hopefully, this will go away at some point, but right now, any COVID-related research, please mark yes or no. And then the statement of benefit. So this is a layman's terms explaining what this project will be. This is reported to the state of Utah and given to the trustees on a monthly basis. Once you go through all of these things, you can come down to summary, submit, and you can see a summary of the proposal. We can go through, you can verify that everything looks correct. And if everything is done, you can even see the budget. I put in a $1 million budget for this proposal. And if everything looks correct, then you can submit for review. And it will do a validation check, and you can see that, Kelly has not certified yet. So before this can be put into review, Kelly needs to go in and certify those questions. Once that happens, then you could come back, submit for review, and put this into routing. You can view that route log at any time, and this will show you who all will need to actually approve this proposal before it can be submitted. You can see that both Kelly and I, as investigators on the project, have to approve it. It then goes to sponsored programs, and they're going to do their initial review of the proposal and work with me to make sure that I'm meeting all of the sponsors' guidelines. And then it's going to go to different people within the offices. Now, every department can set up the routing how they want it, and every college can set up the routing how they want it. So because we added Ag Experiment Station, we can see that this is going to go to Brian Arnell in College of Ag, and then to Dean White as the dean. For the Office of Research, it's going to go to our FO, Brandon Blanchard, and then to Vice President Burrow. Once they've all approved this, it goes back to sponsored programs, who has final approval and submission. So sponsored programs has signature authority for the university, so they should be submitting all the proposals to the various sponsors. So if this is email, they will then compile the email. They will email this to University of Montana for us. And once that's done, let you know that the proposal has been submitted. And that is proposal creation in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it once you get in and go through it. And please note that if you get going on a proposal and you get stuck and you can't figure something out, please don't bang your head. Don't spend a lot of time trying to figure something out. That quick email to me or to Kelly might be able to save you any heartache or time, where we might be able to help you answer those questions. Yeah. The other thing that you need to know is sponsor programs tries to review all proposals and make sure that they're submitted on time. And we do have a rule in the office that all proposals need to be submitted into review so that they can have 3 days prior to the submission deadline. So this proposal has a submission deadline of December 24th. So this really needs to be in sponsored programs, submitted into review with 3 business days prior to that, so that they have time to make sure that it gets a full review, a good review, and they can spot any problems, and that those problems can be fixed prior to submission. If you see, we can pull up the different modules here, and we're going to move away from sponsored programs and move into conflict of interest really quick. Conflict of interest is an annual disclosure where once a year you will need to come in and fill out your annual disclosure, or update your annual disclosure at any time during the year. It's one simple question. Go through this. It's one question if you have no conflicts. Go through this question if you have conflicts, if you have financial entities that you work with outside of the university that might come into conflict, then you would click yes. If you do not, you'd click no. And if you do have those financial entities that you work with, you know, outside company that you're part owner of or whatever it is, it doesn't mean that your research can't go on. It just means that we need to get a management plan in place to make sure that there's going to be no problems in doing the research and also working with that outside company. And that's as simple as an annual disclosure. Once you've filled one out every year at that same time, you'll get a notice from the system saying you need to go in and update your annual disclosure, basically answer that question again. If anything's changed over the year, you would make those changes. Now, the last module I want to go over is the protocols module. Protocols has been on campus now for a couple of years. However, with human subjects, we just started last year, so it's relatively new with in regards to our IRB. And you come in here, you click create new protocol. It'll ask you first whether or not we're going to be working with the ICOOC committee or the IRB committee. Those two different offices, ICOOC for animals, IRB for humans. Click which, and that'll take you to a series of questions that you have to answer, and that protocol grows and changes depending on how you answer the questions. We can see this one. It matches with the proposal that I just did. You can see that I'm the principal investigator. I've put in the title of the project, when it's going to start. there's several things. One of the things that a lot of people have a hard time with is this right here. So this protocol is going to be tied to that proposal that I just submitted, or that I'm working on currently. And so you'd have to find that proposal. Now, we don't have a very good search that works with this right now. So what you need to know is, if you're looking for an award, you have to put in the award number. The award number is the Kuali award number, or the grant number that is in Banner. If you don't know what award that is, give Sponsored Programs a call. They can give you the award number. If it's the developmental proposal number, that like what we just did, you can see that, well, we can go through it again. I just put in the proposal number, click find an ad, and it just brought up all of that information that we just went through. And if I wanted to go see it, I could click on this link and it would actually take me to that proposal within the system. The other question that happens quite often is down here in the personnel. Now, if for some reason we're adding somebody else into here to the research team, and we bring them up, I wasn't sure James Taylor was in there. How about Sam Jackson's going to be on our research team, but he's not in there. He's a student, but not showing up in Kuali. This happens quite regularly because most students, for sure, all undergraduate students, and a good portion of the graduate students are not automatically pulled into the Kuali system. We just don't have the bandwidth to do it, or the need right now. So if you have students that need to be added and they don't show up in this list when you're looking, send an email to me with their name and a number and an email address for them, and I will get them set up as soon as possible. It usually takes me about an hour. From the time I get an email, I try to have all of those requests done within an hour. So this is one thing that happens quite often is you're adding students and they're not there. Just send me an email with their name, a number, and an email address for them, and we'll get them set up. One other thing that that happens is, say I'm preparing this protocol and I'm not the PI. I listed the PI above, and then the PI wants to go in and make a change, and they pull up the protocols and they can't find it. That's because you have to give them access. Now, the person that creates the protocol has access to the protocol all the time. So if I don't list myself on here, but I'm creating it for somebody else, I can still come in and edit this protocol, but the PI might not be able to. Anybody that you list, you have to give them, that's not you, you have to give them access. So make sure that if you want them to be able to edit the protocol, that you give them full access, or you can give them just read access if you just want them to be able to view it. So make sure that those two things are done when adding any personnel that you want to have access to on the protocol. And you can see that I can't complete this until I give her a role. Oh. And you'd want to fill out all of that information for each individual. And you can go through the protocol. Like I said, it can get very, very lengthy depending on the type of protocol that you pick. I think I picked a full, yeah, this is a full protocol, so it has all of the different questions that you would go through. Once you have that completed, submit it, it gets sent to the IRB. They do a review, they ask some cursory questions, make sure that things are, everything that needs to be submitted has been submitted. If not, they'll return it to you and ask for more information, and then you would resubmit, and then it would go to an actual, once that cursory review is done, a full review of the protocol would happen either by an individual or by the committee if it needs to go to the full committee. And you'd be able to log in and see that process as it goes through the protocol review. And again, you can see that under managed protocols, a lot of these menu items you won't have, but I have because of my role. But you can also search if you have lots of protocols in the system by the number, by your name, the title, those types of things. This should only show protocols that you have access to. So if you should have access to something and you don't, please contact me and we can make sure that we give you full access to that protocol. Now, the only problem with protocols is there's no way to go back to the main site. The last thing I wanted to just bring to your attention is reports. So this fourth link down, if you have access to reports, it'll show up. If not, it won't be available to you. This is where we create all of our different reports that are coming out of Kuali for the system. And we can customize these dashboards for any individual that needs them on campus. By default, if you have access to reports, there's a proposals report and an awards report that you would have access to. Shows you award totals and proposal totals by college and department for the past 5 years. But if you have a recurring need or a need for certain information out of the system, please get with me. We'll set up a time where we can go through what information is available, how to create those different dashboards, and I can get them created for you and published out to you so that you can see them in your list of dashboards on the reports page. And that's the overview I have for Kuali. Again, always check back to research.usu.edu/Kuali, and for any information that might be changing, for any new information or upcoming changes to the system, and for those upcoming trainings. Yes, I was just reminded that we will be having a budget training in January. They will be short, half-hour long, a series of trainings to go through the budget module, how to create, tips and tricks on how to create a good detailed budget and use the system to help you in planning your budget, not just transferring the budget from a spreadsheet into the system, but using the system to help you develop that budget in the proposal process. So look, check here on the website. The date should be showing up soon. We're still trying to find the best times, but that will be mid-January and I think there's 2 or 3. We haven't quite decided how to split that up, but there'll be 2 or 3 sessions of that for the different parts of the budget module. Again, this will be recorded and we'll have a link right here on the main page so you can view it at any time. And if you have any questions or concerns, or you need any help with anything within Kuali, please let me know. You can reach me at dan.perry@usu.edu. And yeah, and also know, even though that starting next week, we're all going to have days off, if you have a proposal submission that is happening this month, please let us know right away so that we can make sure that even on those days off that somebody is able to submit that proposal for you, that it still can be reviewed, that if there's any problems within the system, know that I'll be checking my email even on those days off. So yeah, please reach out anytime. Thank you and have a happy holidays, and we'll see you next year.